Today I'm going to take you behind the scenes of a payment data migration project, which is moving from one corporate cards provider to another. To achieve that, we are going to use Mastercard's common data format, which is an XML-based format for transmitting electronic transaction data, primarily used for corporate card transactions. In my previous video, I've explained the business context and technical architecture for Visa's commercial file format. The principles will stay the same, so make sure to check that one as well. However, in this video, I would like to focus on the differences in the implementations between Visa's and Mastercard's file format. So here is a high-level overview. If you've watched already the previous video, the architecture is almost exactly the same. The only difference here is basically the input file format, but also under the hood, the Python parser is completely different because we do have different issues in terms of, like, for example, parsing a highly nested record types, which can be located in multiple different entities, and then combining it, storing into a CSV files. And also merging the data later on is more tricky because of that, but this is something which I'm not going to discuss in this architecture because I would need to use some very restricted examples, which I'm not going to use. Also, I would like to show you the sample file, which looks more or less like this. So it's like a typical XML. So you've got like a transmission header, and there are some multiple entities, and like, for example, a record type here is issuer information 3000, which is basically the main record type of issuer entity, but this entity can contain multiple record types and also the entity. So that's why it is really tricky to parse it properly, to do not miss anything and to also do not duplicate any data. The client didn't want to just switch card providers, but also introduced Mastercard cards alongside Visa. That meant our pipeline now had to handle two completely different file standards: VCF for Visa and CDF for Mastercard. So we had to extend our architecture to support both formats clearly. This point is super important, and in a minute you will see why. On the surface, both file formats solve the same problem, giving companies a feed of their corporate card transactions. But under the hood, they are completely different. First of all, CDF is an XML format, while VCF is a text one. So when you think of it, XML should be easier to parse, right? Well, not exactly. CDF is highly nested hierarchical format, which complicates parsing a lot. On top of that, there is a lot of record types which could be available in multiple entities. Given that, I had three options. Parse it in a similar way as a VCF format, which is basically flattening to get a CSV file. Second option was to flatten the file into an XML and then load into the Snowflake, or load a raw input file into the Snowflake and then do the parsing. From my experience, the easiest way would be to go with option number 3, which was to load unprocessed XML file into Snowflake and do the whole transformation there. But there is a huge vendor lock problem with that approach. With the amount of platform-to-platform migration, it's only the matter of time when it will come back to you. Option number 2 gives a higher control over the process because half of the pipeline is handled in an open source environment, significantly reducing vendor lock. But it creates another one. Since VCF was the first developed parser, support team would need to spend much more time to learn the solution, and also it would complicate the maintenance itself. I believe we can all agree that CSV is much more user-friendly than XML, especially for debugging. And as you already know, data pipelines like to fail quite often, so it's never like build and forget. And given that it's a corporate card transaction, which is quite important, we finally decided to stay with the first approach, knowing it will take more time to build, but it will be easier to support and debug. This way we had one consistent data model, whether the source was Visa's VCF or Mastercard CDF. So to summarize, Visa's VCF is a flat, fixed, section-driven, and Mastercard CDF is XML, nested, and hierarchical. Both deliver corporate card transactions, both require validation, but the parsing and engineering approach are completely different. The most important takeaway from this video is the architecture. The architecture described above may not comply your needs, and that's completely fine. There are always pros and cons of every type of architecture. The key here is to design a solution which will fit the needs of the stakeholders. If you do it right, you are halfway done. Keep it in mind while designing. And that's it for today. If you did anything similar before, drop your story in the comments below. I would love to hear how you approached it. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Ciao!